A new global order is here, and the USA might not be a part of it.
Meanwhile, U.S.-China trade tensions are sparking once again.
We make up 25% of the world's trading capacity of the economy of the world. We need to be aligned with the other democracies, another 25% or more, so that we can set the rules of the road instead of having China and others dictate outcome.
In his trade conflict with China, President Trump has made big demands and big claims that his tariffs on Chinese imports.
What's next after America First? 4 years of Donald Trump have left their mark on the international trading order. The EU and the US have the longest running trade dispute in the world.
Now, I know merely looking at the title of this video might have you asking, can someone please explain to me what exactly is the new global economy? Is the US going into a trade war with China? And if so, can the global economy survive the US-China showdown? If that's you, then I want you to think of the global economy like peeking under the hood of a super intricate machine, where every gear and wire is connected in ways you never imagined. We're talking about a world where your morning coffee from Brazil, the phone in your hand assembled in China, and the shirt on your back stitched in Bangladesh are all part of a grand tapestry called global trade. But the problem is, lately, this intricate web of connections has been facing some serious challenges. There's this new dynamic at play, where countries are slapping tariffs on each other like they're playing a game of economic ping pong.
Meanwhile, U.S.-China trade tensions are sparking once again. The U.S. considering raising tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. This according to the Wall Street Journal, trying to limit reliance on China's EV industry and shield domestic production. Meanwhile, China moving ahead with banning exports of certain rare earth metals, potentially making it harder for the U.S. and other Western nations to boost their supplies of tech.
Picture the U.S. and China standing on opposite ends of the table, batting tariffs back and forth, each trying to outdo the other. It's like a high-stakes showdown, with the U.S. thinking they can out-tariff China, but China still looming large as their biggest threat. So why does all this matter? Well, my friends, it's because we're witnessing a shift towards a new era of global economics. It's like we're stepping into uncharted territory, where the rules of the game are being rewritten, and the stakes have never been higher. But fear not, because I'm here to be your guide through this wild ride. We're going to unpack this story piece by piece, and by the end, you'll have a clear understanding of what's at stake and why it matters to each and every one of us. All right, let's rewind the clock a bit and take a trip down memory lane to when humans stumbled upon a pretty neat trick specialization. Picture this. You're really good at growing grain, your neighbor's a whiz with textiles. Instead of both of you trying to do everything, you focus on what you're best at and trade your surplus with each other. It's like a cosmic barter system where everyone ends up with more of what they need. And guess what? That's how our species went from wandering around in loincloths to building towering skyscrapers. As time marched on, we got better at this whole trading thing. Fast forward to the 1900s and the world was buzzing with trade. But here's the catch, it was kind of a mess. Each country had its own rules, its own money, and everyone was paranoid about foreign competition ruining their party. So they slapped tariffs on imports like it was going out of style. Then World War II came along and shook things up big time. Out of the rubble emerged the US, flexing its muscles as the new kid on the block. And with great power comes great responsibility, right? Well, the US took that responsibility and ran with it, laying down the law for the global economy. They said, hey, let's make the US dollar the king of currencies. That way, everyone's on the same page. And you know what? It worked like a charm. Suddenly, sending money across borders was as easy as pie, and businesses could set up shop anywhere without breaking a sweat. But that's not all. The US also gathered all the big shots and said, let's lower those annoying tariffs and open up our borders. And just like that, the world became a giant marketplace. People were making money, businesses were booming, and life was good for millions. It was like a global party and everyone was invited. Now let's fast forward to when even China, with its anti-capitalist vibe, couldn't resist the allure of the global economy. It was like a party you just had to crash. So they made a deal. We'll keep our communist label, but let's open up shop in some coastal cities and join the global market. And what do you know? Millions of people from rural China flocked to these cities, eager to roll up their sleeves and get to work. And for a bargain, too. Meanwhile, over in the US, big corporations took a long, hard look at their factories back home and thought, hey, China's offering a sweet deal. Let's move shop there and save a ton on labor costs. And guess what? It worked like a charm. Those once sleepy coastal cities in China turned into bustling hubs of industry and opportunity. Thanks to this global economy, China saw a massive leap in prosperity. Millions were lifted out of poverty, joining the ranks of the middle and upper class. But for many Americans left without jobs, it felt more like a punch to the gut than a stroke of luck. This shift, known as the China shock, was a wake-up call for many. But despite the pain, there were undeniable benefits. Prices dropped like never before, making everyday goods more affordable. Suddenly that TV you eyed for $1,000 was a steal at $400, and it worked even better than before. Clothes, toys, you name it, it was cheaper. This meant people had more cash to splash on the good stuff. They dined out more, saved up for wheels, and even treated themselves to a getaway. And this spending spree didn't just benefit consumers. It kept the economic engine humming, creating new jobs in tech, healthcare, and beyond. It was the birth of the modern middle class, fueled by the power of the global economy. As the US and China danced in this economic tango, a subtle shift was underway. Sure, the US still wore the crown for the world's largest economy, but China was closing in and fast. What's more, China was doing it all while staying true to its communist roots. Their government had a tight grip on everything, especially the economy. The US certainly wasn't thrilled about this, but hey, money talks, and they were making a mint off China. Yet, China wasn't just pocketing the profits. They slowly started flexing their muscles on the global stage. They beefed up their military, dabbled in space exploration, and started throwing money around like confetti, investing in projects across the globe. Some saw it as a modern twist on imperialism, Chinese style. The US wasn't exactly thrilled, but they were in a bind. Messing with China too much could backfire and hurt their own economy. See, they were now tangled up in this economic embrace, where a punch to one's wallet was a punch to the others. Then, in 2016, a new sheriff rode into town. The US elected a president who promised to shake things up. And shake things he did.
I think we will make a deal with China. I really think they want to. I think they sort of have to.
He kicked off a trade war with China, slapping tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods. Predictably, China fired back with tariffs of their own, and suddenly the flow of goods between the two giants hit a speed bump.
Now, how to deal with China is a shared question for both the EU and the US. They both want to be present in the Chinese market because it's huge, but they also want to get China to play by the rules.
US farmers who relied on selling soybeans to China found themselves drowning in surplus. Companies with supply chains through China scrambled to reroute their operations. And as the trade war raged on, the global economy hit the brakes. It was like watching a domino effect, with countries far from the front lines feeling the sting. Economists call it a global recession, and it's got a lot of people on edge.
Exactly. The administration is trying to walk the balance between being tough on China and understanding the reality that American companies cannot decouple completely from the Chinese economy itself.
But here's the problem. The trade war didn't hit China as hard as the US hoped. Sure, their growth slowed, but they had other tricks up their sleeve. They poured resources into cutting-edge tech like 5G and AI, rolled out massive infrastructure projects through their Belt and Road Initiative, and lifted even more nations out of poverty. Now, we're in a world where the US isn't the Lone Ranger anymore. China's on the rise, and there's nowhere to put that genie back in the bottle. So, here we are, back in the thick of it. The US and China are still duking it out in their trade war, but it's evolved into something bigger, a battle for control over the global economy. It's like a high-stakes game of chess, with each move determining who holds the reins of power. And let me tell you, the stakes couldn't be higher.
Это как раз сейчас перемены, которые не было в течение 100 лет. На в нем месте двигаем этих перемен.
In this brave new world of the global economy, being number 2 isn't just a minor setback. It's a blow to your very essence, your power, your influence, your ability to shape the world around you. And neither the US nor China is willing to back down. So, what's the bottom line for us regular folks? Well, the global economy is shifting and not necessarily in our favor. We're entering a world where the US and China are locked in an eternal struggle for supremacy. Prices will rise, jobs will become less secure, and uncertainty will reign supreme. But hey, we're a resilient bunch, aren't we? We'll adapt, we'll pivot, we'll find new ways to thrive. And most importantly, we'll start paying attention. Because whether we like it or not, we're all players in this grand game of the new global economy, and right now, the stakes couldn't be higher. It's time to roll up our sleeves and get in the game because the world waits for no one. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons below, as well as let us know what you think of the new global economy in the comments section. And to watch the latest geopolitical news, watch this video here.